All right, guys and girls. First off, thank you for tuning back in. Today, we're going to be hitting the topic that goes hand in hand with furloughs, and that is about chasing work. So do me a favor before we get started, jam that like, subscribe button down below. Help us hit our goal of 50,000 subscribers in 1 year. Also, check out the links below for our merch store links. And as always, come join us on our Discord. So guys, without further ado, here we go. All right, so let's start off on what chasing work is. That is when you are going to another terminal or hub or depot, whatever the case may be, to where you can hold a position and stay working with your current seniority and number. Typically, you're going to be confronted with this option if you're about to get furloughed or have been furloughed. It is just what it is. You're going and chasing the work wherever that may be because, hey, where you're at, maybe your home terminal, the current place you're at, you can't hold. I've been doing it and still going to be doing it. With hopefully one of these days, we're going to find a terminal in a location that my wife and I like, that we want to go ahead and put down roots there and, go ahead and do my engine card. Let's say you can chase work. Several things you need to consider is one, where, when, and how to stay someplace. Two, how long are you going to be able to stay there? And three, is it going to be profitable? Those are the big three things, if you can move around with your seniority number, that you need to consider. So let's start with the big question that I get asked all the time. Where am I going to stay if I chase work? Well, you got essentially four options. You got hotels, you got a camper of some sort, your car, or you can do a roommate gig. Now, I've done three of the four. I've done the hotel / Airbnb, the camper, obviously, and I've done the car option. What I have not done is done the roommate option. However, some very close friends of mine have, and it worked out really well for them, especially if they were out on like a borrow out or mercenary contract. Let me kind of give you a little bit of pros and cons on it, but I'm also going to do a separate video for each one of these on how to stay when chasing work. First and foremost, the hotel / Airbnb route is usually easier to find. Big tip though, you can typically find better rates outside of the town you're actually in. So let's say if you're staying in Lincoln, Nebraska, you may find a better rate in a nicer hotel, let's say down in Nebraska City or one of these smaller towns around there versus actually in the city where the demand is typically higher during tourist season / peak season. Staying in your car. A lot of people look down on this. I have some close friends that did this and in my opinion became masters of it. And I know what you may be thinking. Oh my God, I'm staying in a car. I'm going to be a homeless bum, but they made it work and they made it work well. And they made a boatload of money by saving the money and just living in their car. This is a lot more common than what you think, especially if you're just starting out in the railroad and you don't have a camper, and maybe you don't have the money right off the bat to pay for, $800 a month for a hotel. That is definitely a way to get the wheels turning, especially if you have a family at home, to get out there, chase work, keep the money coming in, save up a ton of money, and keep those benefits rolling. So don't blink your eyes. Don't shake your head at that option. It works and it works well. And I'll cover how to do that in a different video. The third one is obviously the camper. Now, this one obviously has a lot of benefits because you have your own personal space. Typically, you can find campgrounds that run a lot cheaper per month. And then if you were smart about your camper and you went and purchased one, your monthly payment for that, plus insurance, plus the campground, should be about the same or maybe even a little bit less than what you may be paying for an Airbnb in a hotel. Benefits to that is you have your own privacy, your own stuff, and when it's time to get up and go, you're just packing up a camper. You're not loading up your whole car and jamming it full to the roof with all your stuff. There's a lot of freedom with that, including even if you have a little travel trailer, typically you can find a roommate to split the cost with. There you go. How to be more efficient while chasing work. Now, the roommate option, I've never done this one, but a couple of close friends of mine that were in my conductor class and that I met out on the road have done this one. And they simply reached out on Facebook to, the groups that were out there in that particular area, said, hey, is anybody else chasing work looking for a roommate? 3-4 of those guys got together, 4-room house, whatever, split the bills 4 ways. Worked out really well because, quite honestly, you get 4 railroaders in one house together. Nobody's blinking an eye when somebody gets up and goes to work at 2 a.m. or they're sleeping in the middle of the day. Everybody gets it. Doing something like that, finding it on a month-to-month lease versus like a 6-month lease is a very, very wise idea. They're sometimes harder to find. You might pay a higher deposit to make that happen, but save you some stress in the long run, especially if things close up and you got to hit the road. With that said, that kind of covers the basics of the where or how to stays. So here are some tips on chasing work that you need to be mindful of and to consider before you make the move in the decision to actually go chase work. Number 1, keep an eye on the boards of where you're planning or would like to go. What I mean by that is don't bump into a terminal where you can only hold that location by one position. I learned this the hard way. Bumped to an area and I could hold it by 1 or 2, thought I was good. And while I am actually traveling up there, I get bumped off and there's no positions for me to hold. Creates a bit of a stressful scenario there going, okay, what the hell am I going to do? So guys, when you're looking at these boards and these locations, take the time to do your research. What's the trend? Do they keep adding spots? Are they taking away spots? What's the average number of positions that I can hold and how much padding will I have from being the baby on the board? Typically, I try not to be the baby on the board. When I see myself getting to that point, I'm already researching ahead of time on where I could potentially go to stay marked up. So invest the time to research potential locations where you may need to go to chase work. It'll pay off in the long run, I promise you. Number 2, guys, be smart with your money. The objective of chasing work is to stay working, make money, put money in the bank, or send home to the family. Be smart with that. One of the things you can do, and I know it's tempting when you're chasing work, you want to stay marked up all the time and you want to make as much money as possible, but going out there and spending all your money for all your food at fast food joints is going to make you spend more money than what you could be saving by going out and buying meals, buying ramen, taking things that are cheap to buy at the grocery store and making meals you can take with you on the road will save you so much more money. Learn that the hard way too. It is a game changer as soon as my wife and I started putting those kinds of shopping lists in play. Still do it to this day, even if we're not chasing work. Tip number 3, guys, take some entertainment, some form of entertainment with you. No, I'm not talking about the magazines you may have hidden under your bed. I'm talking about Take something to break up the monotony. If you're staying in a hotel, an Airbnb, a camper, take something like an Xbox, a laptop, a TV, something that you can stream YouTube or Netflix or Hulu on, something like that, so that when you get off work, you can come home, you can unwind, you can take your mind off work and relax and break up that monotony. But please, for the love of God, don't go to your wives and say, hey, this guy on YouTube said I need to go buy a brand new Xbox. Don't put that evil on me. You guys figure it out on your own. Tip number 4, guys, when you're going to a terminal that is not your home terminal where you hired out at and you know people, for the love of God, be polite. Have the mentality that you're a guest at their terminal and act accordingly. The men and women that you are going to be working with have been there a long time, well before you probably even became a railroader in most instances. You are the outsider. Some of these terminals, they're not too keen on outsiders, so that first impression you make when you have to show up and qualify with people, guys, if you make a bad one, I've seen people ran out of there. I've seen people get the cold shoulder. Be polite. Be respectful of these people. This is their home terminal, and act accordingly. Nobody wants to hear how you do things back home or how much it's better, or let's say you made more money at your home terminal than you do there. Nobody wants to know that. Show up, be polite, be respectful, learn from these men and women, because these guys and gals have worked this territory for so long, they probably know it like the back of their hand. Keep that in mind. That will pay you dividends anywhere you go. So for the next tip, guys, save as much money as you can. The reason I say this is it has happened numerous times where I've been at a terminal and it looks like, I'm going to be able to be here for months. Everything's going great. I'm making good money. I'm able to send money home to my wife. And next thing I know, Monday rolls around or there's a service interruption and now the boards get cut. Maybe some other people are chasing work too, and they just happen to have better seniority than I do, and I get pushed out of there. That's part of the game. Don't get caught with your pants down and not have money aside for a new hotel, gas money to get there, food, things like that. Leave yourself some money put aside specifically for going to the next location. It can happen in a blink of an eye. And if you're caught with your pants down, you're really in a bind at that point. Also, keep a separate fund as well set aside for money to get back home, or in case of an emergency, money to get a plane ride back home. As far as playing on with places to stay, guys, the most common place people initially look for right away are hotels. Now, they're the easiest to find, but a lot of times finding a good, clean hotel with a decent monthly rate is a little bit harder to find than anything else. Here's something to think outside the box. A lot of RV campgrounds, like Campgrounds of America, the KOAs, they do have cabins. Some of them are rustic, meaning they just have a fridge, a microwave, and a TV, and then an AC unit and a heater. Some have real fancy cabins. Guys, especially during non-peak season times, call around to the campgrounds and see if they offer affordable monthly rates on these basic cabins. One of the great things about that is if you can find them, a lot of times you can actually come home and have your own little private campfire outside your cabin, kick back and relax in something that is not a hotel setting. When you are calling hotels, in some places, some of these companies, if you call and tell them that you work for the railroad, sometimes these mom and pop hotels will actually jack the prices up on you because, well, this guy works for the railroad, so he's loaded, so we're going to charge him double or triple the price. I call around and just say, hey, my name's John. I travel for my job. Do you have any rooms available at a monthly rate? And I usually just leave it at that. Also, for my final tip, and I kind of mentioned this before as well, check the surrounding areas and towns for other deals. You may be surprised at what you find there just by being willing to drive an extra 30 minutes to work versus being 5 minutes from the depot. So we're shooting for that 50,000 subscriber goal. Help us reach that by liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. And check out our merch store down below. We got some cool items for all you guys. So stay tuned. We're going to be putting out the 4-part series on how to chase work regarding the hotel, Airbnbs, campers, the roommates, and rocking it out of your car like a rock star. Guys, thanks again. Love each and every one of you. Here we go. We'll see you on the next one.